Hello. This digital video is a podcast prepared to supplement the third module of the course Survey of Imaginary Buildings, provided online by Morgan State University. We begin our survey of imaginary buildings with a tower, the Tower of Babel. Today, in the 21st century, the myth of Babel persists strongly in two ways, both sociologically and architecturally. With so many trends towards globalization and instantaneous digital communication, we often find ourselves pushed against the barriers preventing comprehension or the understanding of others. The lesson of Bavel, as it's written in the Hebrew Bible, comes as Babel to our ears, and for all our means of connection, we can experience great anxiety in situations where no common language, spoken or visual, can easily be established. These are the sociological and psychological dimensions. But the biblical story of Babel is about architecture as well. Architects throughout history have been fascinated with towers in general, and the myth of Babel in particular. Among the earliest illustrations for architectural treatises were pictures of towers. Here, in the first illustrated edition of Vitruvius by Fra Gioconda, which dates to 1511, we see his imagined recreations of Athens' Tower of Winds, its actual proportions exaggerated to emphasize its height. And here, from an even earlier source, a copy of Antonio Averlino's manuscript dating to the 1460s, is a drawing of a tower, the purpose of which was to demonstrate the excellence of a new architectural language. As this recent animated recreation suggests, the relationship between a tower and its textual foundation is as real as its symbolic power. Back to the Tower of Babel, here's an English translation of the original Hebrew found in Genesis 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Come, let us build a city and a tower, with its top in the heavens. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men were building. The Lord said, If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. So besides the obvious human interest, there is for architects interesting detail about materials, bricks instead of stone, and for use as mortar, slime, better translated perhaps as clay or as pitch, but more essentially an example of alliterative wordplay in the original language. But besides these details about materials, we have described for us an impulse to create. Quote, let us build a tower with its top in the heavens. Unquote. Today, at the beginning of the 21st century, we can look down from that lofty perspective, having in these last 100 years created towers of a height far greater than imagined in those early days. I would ask the following question. From what derives our fascination with height, with elevation, and with the perspective they provide? In fact, answers to that question seem ludicrously obvious. I mean, who is not moved by a view from above? Yet fascination also remains for those of us left below, looking up towards a tower. Towers have been ascribed with a wide range of symbolic meanings, including sexual potency, psychic identity, and temporal power. The Tower of London, for instance, was built by William the Conqueror to provide visible evidence of his martial control of that city. But the essential meaning of towers is in their demonstration of knowledge. Technical knowledge for construction, managerial knowledge for the command of the workforce, knowledge of physics for the mastery of forces required to resist both gravity and wind, and, as the biblical story implies, knowledge of a divine nature, for with the construction of the Tower of Babel, quote, nothing they planned to do would be impossible for them. In a sense, the conception of a tower becomes an assumption of God's own attributes. Michael Moore, in his essay on the significance of mountains, towers, and other high places, reviews the cultural legacy following the Tower of Babel and its ilk. At the end of this video, continue to the next link within Blackboard to download this article, after which you can examine additional examples of imaginary tower projects.